Welcome back. This is our second part of our series of the FJ40 Landcruiser. We have two. We have a ready to run, which we had a look at in our first video, and we have our kit. So a KM, a C34 WPL KM. So today we're going to get on and start to assemble this. Looking at the instructions, we have here, we start with the body. So today in this video we're going to cover assembling the body. I won't go through every step, but we'll go through a general arrangement of it all and see how it comes out. So we start off by using the main body section, and as we can see here, we fit up the windshield and bonnet and grille and so forth. So I've had a bit of a look already at the bits and pieces, because a little bit difficult to find actually. If we have a look at the bags that are provided, some of the parts are in with the shock absorbers. What we found a little bit odd was some of the parts are also found in with the steering servo, so the pins for the doors and so forth. So let's get to it. We'll get the bags of screws opened up and we'll start putting some bits and pieces together. So the bag that contains the assembly screws are together with the shock absorbers. So we have some nuts and bolts, and then we have some of the small screws which are called up for in the body assembly, and we also have a additional bag of screws here, which is the longer screws. So we'll see which we need, but the rest we'll put back in the bag so that we can find it later when we're looking for it, when we get around to the chassis. First here we're going to assemble up the windshield, get the glass into it. So the glass is really nicely presented with the imitation rubber around the outside, and these just clip in by the look of it. Yep, nice firm press gets that in and clips in beautifully. Look at that. Very nicely made actually. And then it looks like the windshield just clips on also to the body. Again, very firm, so quite nice and tight also. So we can run this later with the top off and the windshield down, which is pretty cool. So that's a nice easy way to install that. And then we have the engine bonnet or hood. As you can see here, it just clips in very nicely in the bottom here. So if we just press that into place, and it looks like it has a keeper on here as well to keep it intact, and bonnet's on. So that's pretty cool. So the next part is the doors, which I see the doors here use a pin, and then this plate here clips into the body. So we'll get those out and we'll see if we can get those pinned together. So assembling the doors up, we have two parts here, and then the pins drop in through here. As I mentioned before, the pins were in the bag with the steering servo, so a little bit difficult to sort of find. I did sort of panic a little bit looking for them, but it seems to be that everything's very well done. So I guess this is going to be quite a firm fit. Not too bad at all. A little firm fit, but just perfect really. Beautifully made, some of these. What they can do with plastics now is quite incredible. So now you can see we've got our door hinge in place. Opens out this way, of course, and then that simply clips in to the two slots here and two locating pins. So very nicely, beautiful mouldings really. What is done with plastics these days is truly phenomenal. So here we now have our opening door, our folding windshield, and we also have the bonnet already. That all goes together very, very easily. And, yeah, beautiful model, I'm sure. So the next thing we'll do is we'll get the door trim. Very nice feature on these that they have the door trim as a separate item as well. So it's very nice. Yeah, you can see the curve matches nicely around here. So we'll press that on. But first I'll just get rid of these little plastic burrs on here. So just using a little hobby knife, and we'll just take that off. Just cleaning it up a little bit. On a tree, so they've got to be cut off or broken off. So as we go through there, and we'll just clip this on. And quite a bit of force is needed, so they're not going to fall off, that's for sure. So yeah, that forms a beautiful looking door trim. Closes nicely on the inside. And so yeah, very impressive with the way it goes together. Everything fits absolutely perfectly. So next we'll get to and put some of the dashboard and so forth. So this is all out of the next bag, which has all the interior parts, and we can see here the dashboard. And we'll pop the other bits away for the moment. The dash panel looks very nice. Later we'll paint all these up and make them look a lot more original, or a lot more authentic. And so the dash panel sits in here and has two locating screws. Oh, and also we can see here that also forms a retainer for the bonnet, so that's very clever. So we'll get that mounted in there. Okay, so now with the dash mounted, I haven't put any screws into it yet, but just giving you an idea. And here we have the floor pan. Very nice, really. Just super impressed with the way that everything fits together. There we go, and these clip underneath here for the two screws. Everything just sits together so beautifully. And then these seats, I see here on these two rails, so they have two tangs that locate them. Again, they just clip in by the look of it. And one other fancy little feature on these is they can actually adjust forward and back. So how cool is that? Pretty impressive. So if you have a figure that you can put in there and you need to adjust the seat, you can actually put him in there, so that's great. Okay, so again, just following along with the instructions. Obviously there's still a door to fit and so forth, but I won't bore you with putting every door on, every screw. But the rear body section also locates here beautifully on two pins. And again, the fit is so good. And then there's a couple of retaining screws going in the bottom here as well. So that'll give us our body. And of course with the other door, and the alignment is beautiful. So very nice unit. I'm really, really impressed so far. And we also have the rear seats, which are similar to the front seats. They just click in. And again, quite a firm fit. So you've got the side mounted seats as were supplied in the original cars. And then next we'll see how the top fits. So the removable hardtop. Goes on like so. That'll be a very, very nice model. Of course it's exactly the same as the ready to run unit, just in kit form. So I'll get these, first of all I'll get the glass put into the rear hardtop, and a couple of screws in there, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Okay, well, I've just popped a few screws in here, in the back here, to hold the rear tub, and also here and here. You can see that very clearly, but hold the dashboard in place, and also these bonnet retainers. So now you can see it's starting to really come together as a body. It's still a little bit flimsy in the middle, but the roof will solve that, and of course when the chassis is in, it'll solve that as well. So we'll just see how the roof sits on. And it goes on there quite well, actually, very nicely. Again, it lines up with all the little spigots in the mouldings, and there we go, we have the roof. So it's really starting to take shape. So I'll get a few screws into there, get the other back seat in. Okay, so now we have the hard top fitted. There's only 4 screws that hold the hard top and a frame. So this portion here, obviously there's screws into that between the side frame and the hard top, which you put in first, and then the 4 screws in the back corners here, and it makes the whole thing quite rigid. The windshield sits in 2 spigots at the front here. A little difficult to see now, but you can just see it in here. So yeah, very simple to get the body together actually. So I'll just pop in one of the side windows here. See how easily they go in. And just like everything else, they go together very, very easily. Just clips in and got a beautiful side window. So all coming together very well. I'll get these other windows in, and actually I'll put one corner window in, share that with you. See how everything is separately bagged, so each window or each pair of windows comes in a bag. Very nicely made, but you can see they're slightly different shapes, of course, so there'll be a left and right hand one, I would assume. So here we go in, and a little bit of force and clip, in she goes. Very nicely manufactured. I mean, the accuracy is just phenomenal, really. Just get this last one in. So slip the top in and just press with your thumb in the bottom, and it clips in absolutely beautifully. So now we have our doors, our roof, our seats. Haven't followed the instructions quite perfectly. We should have put the gear stick and the steering wheel in before getting to this stage, but just trying to keep things moving a little bit for our video. So yeah, I'll get the windscreen wipers and grille and so forth on, and the other glass in it, and we'll see what's next. Okay, so our windscreen wipers, again, are all on a plastic tree, so we just press those into the holes. Fit in there very nicely. Nice snug fit. Very delicate wipers, as they were on the original cars. They're quite small and sort of lights, or wipers rather. And here we have the grill. Sits in there like so, and we have a grill surround. So here we have the bag with the grill surround, and there's a tiny little WPL badge here, which we'll probably leave off. I've found some Toyota insignias, which we'll get on there. I'll show you those in a bit later when you start doing a customizing. But you can see here the grill surround, just fits on there beautifully. Actually, there's a top and a bottom to this. You can see the larger clips on the top and the smaller ones on the bottom. And again, like everything else, it just clicks into place. So that's about it for our body build. So in the next video we'll cover the chassis and building it all together. So I hope you enjoyed this little brief overview of how to get the body assembled and gives you some confidence to do your own. So again, thanks for watching. Looking forward to the next video, and please give us a like and a subscribe, and you'll see our two FJ40s come together. Thank you very much.